Welcome to The Explainer. Okay, let's just dive right into this. Today, we are tackling a deeply frustrating, incredibly messy, and honestly, all too common nightmare for a lot of homeowners, especially if you live in the North Shore area. We're talking about the totally disproportionate amount of sewer issues and drain backups haunting these homes. If you've ever had to deal with a flooded basement or a suddenly overflowing floor drain, well, you know exactly how stressful this is. In this explainer, we're going to unpack exactly what's happening beneath your lawn using some really fascinating insights from local plumbing experts.
I mean, it's the question that absolutely haunts so many of us, right? Why is your sewer backing up again? You clean the house, you're super careful about what you wash down the sink. Maybe you even had a plumber out just a few months ago to clear a blockage. And yet, here you are, listening to that terrifying gurgling sound coming from the drain. It brings up this really deep sense of homeowner guilt. You start wondering, what did I do wrong? Did somebody flush something they shouldn't have? It can totally feel like a personal failing, or like you're somehow just dropping the ball on maintaining your property.
But listen to this, because the crucial takeaway is right here. Not because residents are doing anything wrong, but because local conditions place heavier stress on aging underground systems. Seriously, take a deep breath and let go of that homeowner guilt. The source material makes it incredibly clear. The culprit is actually a systemic issue. It's this perfect storm of the environment around your home and the age of the infrastructure beneath it. It really is not just you.
Section 1. The Suspect Lineup. Let's investigate the invisible underground forces.
Our very first suspect? Well, it's simply time. In so many North Shore neighborhoods, the collection systems and the residential sewer lines, which plumbers call lateral lines, were installed decades ago. And over time, those materials naturally deteriorate. The joints that hold the pipe sections together start to loosen up, and microscopic cracks begin to widen. Because these older systems were designed for historical flow expectations, they literally have zero buffer or redundancy built in for unusual loading. So when you get heavy storm runoff, that water finds its way right into those widening cracks and faulty connections, and the aging pipes are just instantly overwhelmed.
Now, the real invisible enemy we need to talk about is infiltration. Think about the ground conditions in these specific areas, where soils hold a lot of water, or where the groundwater table rises seasonally. Your sewer lines are suddenly subjected to immense external pressure. It's like the saturated soil literally squeezes the pipes. This forces groundwater into the sewer lines through those aging cracks. It completely changes the flow dynamics, carries in suspended solids like dirt and mud, and just totally overloads the pipe's capacity.
And here is the really tricky part about infiltration. It is super sneaky. It rarely looks like some dramatic surface leak or a giant geyser in your front yard. Instead, it reveals itself through reoccurring, sneaky little symptoms. You'll notice slow drains. You might hear gurgling in the pipes. Or you'll get backups that seemingly only happen during or right after a heavy rainstorm. If your sewer acts up every single time the weather gets wet, infiltration is definitely your prime suspect.
Next up in our lineup is shifting soil. The ground beneath us is not static. It's constantly moving. Natural settling, changes around your foundation, and especially drought-wet cycles cause the earth to shift. And when the soil shifts, it misaligns your pipes. Even a tiny misalignment creates a low point, sometimes called a belly, where solid waste and debris naturally collect instead of just flowing away like they're supposed to. More importantly, when the pipes shift, the joints separate. And those compromised joints are the absolute first weak links in your entire system.
So what happens when a joint separates or a pipe cracks? It sends out a flashing neon signal to our next suspect, tree roots. And man, this brilliantly illustrates nature's persistence. Tree roots naturally hunt for moisture, so even a minor leak from a shifted pipe creates a huge incentive for them. They grow right toward it, intrude through the gaps, and actually start flourishing inside the pipe. Once they're in there, they act like a net, narrowing the passage and trapping solid waste to form massive, incredibly stubborn blockages. And in wetter, coastal environments where the soil stays moist longer, you have to understand this root intrusion isn't just common. It is incredibly fast, aggressive, and highly destructive.
Section 2. The Accomplices. How modern habits exacerbate fragile systems.
We've identified the heavy hitters underground, but when you categorize the culprits side by side like this, you can really see how systemic underground issues combine with modern habits to create a total perfect storm. Even if you maintain really good practices, if your lateral lines are mechanically failing due to age, shifting soil, roots, or infiltration, a tiny slip-up on the household stressor side, like a little bit of grease or an improperly flushed item, can trigger an absolute disaster.
I really want to specifically call out the danger of so-called flushable wipes. This is a massive myth. The packaging might say they are flushable, which just means they physically fit down the toilet hole, but they simply do not break down like toilet paper does. When you introduce these basically indestructible wipes into a deteriorating pipe network that already has minor root intrusion or low points from shifting soil, they act as a major catalyst for disaster. They catch on the roots, they build up, and they practically guarantee a backup.
Section 3. Breaking the cycle. Proactive solutions for a systemic problem.
All right, we've seen the problem, and yeah, it looks pretty daunting. But because the problem is fundamentally structural, reactive fixes, like repeated snaking, one-time rotting, or blindly clearing the drain, are literally just Band-Aids. Think about it. If you just rod the line, but the underlying joint is still separated, the roots are going to grow back, the soil will shift again, and the problem will return. Proactive fixes, on the other hand, completely change the game. It all starts with a video camera inspection to identify the actual root cause. Once you can actually see the crack or the belly, you can match the remedy to the exact cause, using modern, long-lasting solutions like pipelining or targeted replacement.
So here is your precise visual action plan so you know exactly what steps to take the very next time you hear that ominous gurgling sound. Step 1. Schedule a camera inspection. Seriously, stop flying blind. Step 2. Track the timing. Do these problems happen right after heavy rain? Because that's a huge clue pointing straight to infiltration. Step 3. Strictly avoid flushing non-sewer safe items. Banish the wipes. Step 4. Keep meticulous records of repairs so future contractors aren't just guessing. And finally, Step 5. If damage is confirmed, actively ask your plumber about permanent lining or replacement options instead of just paying for yet another temporary snaking.
Which brings us to our final thought for this explainer. Are you just going to keep treating the symptoms, or are you finally ready to inspect and actually cure your sewer system? The North Shore sewer mystery isn't really a mystery at all, is it? It's a combination of aging infrastructure, saturated soils, and modern habits. When those factors align, backups are basically inevitable. But early inspection and targeted repairs are absolutely your best tools. Stop treating the symptoms, break the cycle, and take control of your home's infrastructure. Thanks for joining me on this deep dive. I will see you on the next explainer.